Hello and welcome. This is the second part of a back-to-back. This time, myself and Kyle Brickman are joined by none other than Oren Weisfeld. He is back from a nice vacation. Oren, where did you go really quick before we get started?
Mexico.
Nice, man. Nice.
I don't
Very
Yeah.
think we
nice.
even need to be.
Sí, señor.
Okay. Is that all? You got something else? That's all you
Arriba.
got? Okay. Oh wow, that was a good intro. Your Raptors, unfortunately. So obviously, welcome to Wrap Up Live, guys. We are here on Saturday, February 26th. It is a good night. Not a good night of Raptors basketball, but it is a great Saturday night. And your Toronto Raptors, unfortunately, took another L. This time to the Atlanta Hawks, 127-100. That brings their record down to 32 wins, 27 losses on the season. I'm your host, Sahal Abdi. I'm here with Kyle Brickman, like I mentioned before, and Oren Weisfeld. The producer in the background is Chris Howson-Jan. So thank you to Chris for all he's going to do for us in the next 30 minutes or so, Kyle, right? 30 minutes is over. 30 minutes. Oren, really quick, it's very hard, and usually with these live shows, we go immediately to the part of the game that people want to talk about most. But do we have that point in the game, or what do you want to talk about, Oren?
Yeah, I actually thought that there was more to talk about with this game than there was like in a night like last night. And I tweeted out that like this was probably the worst Raptors loss of the season because it wasn't like in the game like we witnessed yesterday. And there's been a few New Orleans game, the Portland game, where the Raptors just had no effort, had no focus, had nothing. Tonight they tried, right? Like that was the worst part was like that the Raptors actually tried and like they threw a whole lot of different looks at Trae Young, whether it was switching it, whether it was doubling him, whether it was putting Scottie on him instead of a guy like Fred, and just none of it worked. So I think the biggest issue was like there was a big matchup problem there in terms of like and Jack mentioned this at the end of the show. Right now the Raps would play the Hawks in the play-in tournament. It would be the 7 versus 10 game, and it's just like, how do they stop Trae Young? They have no answer right now. And I will
Yeah.
say that OG is their best option on Trae Young, and he's injured right now. But regardless, like you need more than OG. You need, and we'll get into some of this stuff, I think, but you need a rim protector when, Trae gets past his man and then Birch or Precious or Siakam steps up. That player is not right now on the Raptors. There's no one who can guard both Trae's floater and take away the lob. The Raptors don't have that on the roster, and it was horrible tonight. You just saw Trae pick them apart because of it.
Yeah, I mean Trae, his ability to absolutely annihilate the Raptors off the dribble, make his way into the lane at absolute ease. Like when I say ease, I mean I've never seen a guard in quite some time get into the lane the way Trae Young did. And then every time Precious Achiuwa or Kem Birch stepped up, there was a lob. It was either Onyeka Okongwu or what's his name, Clint Capella, who would finish the lob. So it was tough. Trae Young had an incredible game, as you could see, 17 for 24, which is insane even for a guy with Trae Young standards. Kyle, initially the game was competitive. To be fair to the Raptors, it was very competitive early on. At what point of the game did you see the tide turn? I'm an idiot.
I think mid second quarter there was like the Hawks kind of found something with like Trae Young pick and roll, like whether it be with Clint Capella or whether it be with Onyeka Okongwu, who had Onyeka I actually really love. He's like sort of what a Precious is like meant to be at some point, although I think Precious is pretty close now. Anyway, like they just got the pick and roll running, and like that third quarter was just all Trae Young out of the pick and roll, and it was super ugly. Fred started pretty hot. Like Fred started insanely hot, honestly, and like he had like 14 points in the first quarter, and then ends the night 8 for 22 shooting. I get that the Raptors are missing OG, but the Hawks are missing John Collins, who's their second best player. He's better. He's more important to the Hawks than OG is to Toronto. Like, you can't be in here every night saying, "Well, we're missing this guy, we're missing that guy." I mean, other teams get injured. Like, this is I'm gonna rounding up. This is a second consecutive 30-point loss. They had another 30-point loss against New Orleans, like I guess 2 games ago. Something's up, man. Like, this isn't looking great right now. Something is up.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried. I think I'm there now because I know it's very easy for Raptors fans to go, you know what? Well, we don't have OG Anunoby, so I mean, it is what it is. The Raptors can just chalk away these types of games until they get OG, and it's like, no, this is much worse than just not having OG. This is an effort issue. This is the fact that the Hawks can run the same screen and roll over and over and over again with Trae Young and have that type of success in the paint. It's not great. As you can see below, the Raptors are 1-4 in their last 5. Ryan says it's an atrocity that these 3 innocent men have to talk about this game. Never mind to watch it.
These guys are not innocent. These two, they're not innocent. They've done heinous crimes, but anyways.
I mean, I was gonna turn this into a whole slander thing, but to be like, I think the Raptors don't even deserve it. I think the Raptors fans just deserve an honest breakdown of what happened in this game. The Hawks are 28-31. They're sitting 10th in the East as we speak. The Raptors are currently sitting 7th in the East. And like you said, Kyle, Fred started off the game really, really hot, and then he just cooled down. We saw both sides of Fred. While Trae Young just got hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. What is the key? I'll ask Oren. What's the key, Oren? You run into this Atlanta Hawks team again. I don't know if the Raptors do this season. I think this would be it for the year, but this is a potential play-in team that the Raptors have to face. What is the key to kind of stopping this team? Let's say maybe there's another quarter left in the game. How do you stop these Atlanta Hawks? It seemed like they just absolutely demolished the Raptors today.
Yeah, that's the question, and I think it's actually one I've thought about a lot over the past couple of years because we saw them get to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and I think a lot of it was just like the matchups worked out really well for them, and I think the key to stopping the Hawks is staying in front of Trae Young. And so I think the key is OG Anunoby. Like, I agree with Kyle what he said about you can't make excuses every night. John Collins is a better player than OG Anunoby right now. So it's not fair to say like the Raptors miss OG, whatever. But I will say that stopping the Hawks is about staying in front of Trae, and the only guy who can do that, even including Van Vliet, is OG. OG is better even than Van Vliet at that because he's so much longer. He can contest shots while still giving a bit of a buffer. So yeah, the key is really either kind of having a guy who can stay in front of Trae or having like an elite rim protector. And I don't think the Raptors really have either, but their best bet is definitely OG. So if they were to play in a play-in game like that, I think you would have to see like a defensive player of the year type performance from OG.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how I would assume. Like if you ask me how do the Raptors beat the Hawks in a series or in a do or die game, it would be OG clamps the shit out of Trae Young like he did when they played the last time. I remember he had like 2 big blocks in crunch time. You guys will remember those. So like that to me is the key more than anything. But like we have to slander the Raptors. This was so embarrassing. Some of the stuff he did to them was like Chris Boucher. Oh my god, like Scottie Barnes. It was embarrassing.
Did he slap the floor? Did Chris Boucher slap the floor? He did some sort of like Trae like crossed him and then he pulled the ball out and like got the crowd into it, and Chris was like either clapping his hands or slapped the floor.
I did not see
Trae
that.
blew right by him for an and-1. It was like one of the that's one of the saddest moments I've seen all season. Honestly, that was like he really cooked him.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you guys were saying about like being worried, because I think like this is a bad matchup for them, especially without OG. And last night was just a complete lack of effort. So like, I'm not taking a ton away from these games, but what I am taking away is like the lack of depth is still really apparent to me. So like Siakam and Van Vliet are still doing basically what they have to do. But then, Barnes, we should talk about, really, really bad game. Ken Birch, really bad game. Gary Trent Jr., you didn't even really feel his presence at all tonight. And then the bench, it's kind of, other than Achua, who we should talk about in a good way, the bench again was kind of not there. So I think depth is the real concern still.
Yeah, Achua probably had his game of the year. His confidence seems like it's at an all-time high. Yeah, going down the entire list, Kyle, there's Pascal, there's Scottie. Kem had 0 points. Fred, he had 24 points, but it was on 22 shots. Gary Trent, like Oren said, it just felt like he wasn't even there sometimes. Kyle, is there any player you want to pick out in a positive way or even a negative way, specifically for the Raptors that you want to talk about?
I'll give I don't think it's really even worth talking about, but I thought Malachi actually kind of gave them pretty good minutes. Like he wasn't still not hitting open shots, but just gave them good minutes in general. But it's not even really worth talking about. Like I don't want to be positive tonight. And in terms of negativity, it's like I don't have a single player necessarily that I want to get on, but it's just like, Oren, you mentioned earlier, maybe you thought the biggest issue was a rim protection thing or a depth thing. To me, the biggest issue with this team is the spacing or lack thereof. There's no spacing on offense. That second quarter run by the Hawks into the third quarter, that was basically generated by Atlanta getting out in transition because the Raptors cannot score. And the Hawks, teams like the Hawks are so deadly running. Like Trae Young loves running. I'm sure if you go into some pickup game in the summer with Trae Young, go watch a Trae Young pickup game in the summer, all they're doing is running up and down the floor in transition. It's what he loves to do more than anything. Same thing happened last night with LaMelo. So the Raptors need to be able to get buckets to help their defense, and they just can't right now. They don't have enough bodies out there that can space the floor. There's so many instances where there are 5 Hawks or there were 5 Pelicans or 5 Hornets in the paint, sitting in the paint after a drive or a jump shot. It's so hard to score like that. There's this isn't a way to run an NBA offense, but I kind of feel bad for Nick Nurse because who else are you going to put out there? He doesn't have options.
Yeah. Or did it concern you at all the fact that Pascal, Fred, and Gary combined, they made 17 shots? And in terms of field goal attempts, there was 48 field goal attempts just between those 3. Did that concern you, the fact that there were so many missed shots between those 3 and the fact that Scottie maybe didn't get that much of an opportunity, or is it just one of those cases where Scottie just didn't deserve, the offensive output?
Yeah, I will take the opportunity to slander Scottie, but first, to Kyle's point, it's a good point, and look at the box score. Fred shot 14 threes, and then after him, the rest of the starters combined for 5 3-point attempts. So that just means that no one else is spacing the floor other than Fred VanVleet, and 14 threes is kind of a lot. So yeah, I mean, Nurse was asked about it before the game. He said he doesn't really think it's an issue right now, but it is. Obviously, they need to figure out some way to kind of replicate OG spacing, and I don't know how you do it because they've already kind of done everything possible to get the most out of the guys that they have, whether it's offensive rebounding and transition. And I don't know how else you can kind of get more spacing other than just making Barnes actually shoot the ball, making Pascal shoot the ball, because those guys can hit them, and we've seen that. And obviously Gary should take more than 4, but he wasn't involved at all. I think Gary would be my bigger concern in terms of why wasn't he more involved in the offense? There's a lot of games where it just feels like he's not a priority and he kind of slips out of it. Barnes, to me, didn't really deserve the offense because the defense was so bad. He only played 21 minutes and
awful defense.
Awful. Really just stuff that really stood out in terms of just him not seeing where his guy was going and just losing his guy, or just reaching in, silly fouls. And he picked up 4 fouls pretty quickly in that game. I thought that was one of the worst games of his season, and it sucked after last night. You kind of felt okay, post All-Star break, he got his legs back in him. He's going to be aggressive down the stretch here. And then it was just kind of a rookie game from him tonight.
Do you think, guys, overall the strategy of just the Raptors, having so many of these same physical 6'9" long wingspan or 6'8" long wingspan guy. There's so many of these guys on the Raptors. Do you think the emphasis on that was just a little too much? Because when you look at the box score, it's not pretty at all. But this is probably, I wouldn't be shocked, honestly, in the next 10, 15 or so games that we see a couple more games like this, simply because who can really shoot consistently from the perimeter on this team other than Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr.? Who? It's really bad when you have probably two very good 3-point shooters on your entire team. Everybody played today, including Svi, by the way. He played just a minute, but everybody played. Svi, Delano, Malachi, Justin, Utah. Like, everybody got a chance to play today, whether it was 3 minutes, 1 minute, 19 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it was. Spacing is something we talked about yesterday, Kyle, on the first game of the back-to-back. And I don't know if there's a solution for that. I know a lot of people in the comments are mentioning the buyout market. It feels like we're at the trade deadline all over again. We're trying to find a solution to what the Raptors lack. This is a funny one. He says, "Bring back Baines." No, that would not solve much.
I do want to mention this, and it's funny that this is like an overlap because it's actually my name, but I agree with him. Why isn't Yuta a rotation player? He can hit some open shots. He's got like a defensive profile they're looking for. I don't know why Yuta's not in the rotation. I don't think he should be like a starter. I don't think they should run the offense through him, but like, where's Yuta? Is something wrong? Like, is he's I know he was coming back from injury, but he seems eligible. Like, he played tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be a health thing. Oren would probably know more than myself, but I know when it comes to health, one guy I know for sure is not healthy, and that's Khem Birch. Like that, Khem Birch is. I'm watching him. He just looks rusty in terms of just his movements. He doesn't look fluid. It almost looks like it's if you've ever had an injury and played basketball, or you've watched a friend or someone you know play through an injury, that's exactly what it looks like for Khem Birch. He just doesn't look like he's moving the same. Coming off of screens offensively, doesn't look like he's moving the same. And it's a good thing, I guess, the fact that when Khem Birch is struggling, you have Precious coming out and probably being the best Raptor tonight. I guess that's one of the positives you can take from tonight. But overall, the front court just was obliterated in this game. It really was. I'm looking at Clint Capella, who didn't even play much. He didn't really even have to play. Okongwu had a very, very good game, 17.7 rebounds in just 27 minutes.
He's really good.
He's damn good. He's damn good. This is one of those games where, for one guy that stood out as much as he did in Trae Young for the Hawks, I was shocked that it just seemed like the Raptors' effort level just wasn't there in the second half. When you can mix a shitty effort level with very problematic, offense and defense, you're going to get a blowout like this. I guess I'm trying my best to be positive. I really am. It is tough. I guess it's a little more easier for Oren because he wasn't with myself and Kyle yesterday when we had to report on another blowout from the Charlotte Hornets. Do you see, guys, a better forecast for the Raptors in the future? There is a back-to-back coming up. There's one day off, and there's a back-to-back versus Brooklyn. Do you guys see anything clearer in the forecast?
Well, Brooklyn's not like a great team right now, for being honest, because Kevin Durant's still out. Ben Simmons seems to be out for a while, and Kyrie Irving can't play against the Raptors. So,
yeah.
It's not.
Wait. They're up 11 right now on the Milwaukee Bucks.
Kyrie's playing. To be fair, Kyrie's playing.
You're right. Yeah.
But yeah, like Brooklyn doesn't scare me, and their upcoming schedule, the next few games isn't that bad, but it'll get tough again in March. You kind of just hope the Raptors have kind of rounded into form again. But like, to be fair, this is the same team that just was on like a 9-game winning streak. It's not like all hope is lost, but right now they are in a pretty big funk, and they got to get their rhythm together. And yeah, I think it does go to like the depth. I think that they thought that some of these guys off the bench would pop that just haven't popped. And like Utah is a good example. I think he is a rotation player, but he was given his chance. He didn't kind of run with it. And then Nurse went to new guys. But it feels right now like we're in a state where Nurse is going to keep trying new guys because no one is really popping off the bench. Like, Chris Boucher, I think his minutes could go down because he's had a bad few games here. Precious maybe could come up and take maybe some of Kem's minutes here. But like, yeah, Utah, Malachi clearly got in the game in the first quarter. So he seems to maybe be a bit back in the rotation. So it seems like they're shaking it up. But yeah, there's no way the Raptors are going to succeed right now, especially with OG out, unless they find some of that depth that a lot of us entered the season thinking that they would have. And they just haven't all season. And at the trade deadline, it was kind of even betting on that depth by only getting Thad Young was a bet on, Malachi and Delano. By not filling that backup point guard position, the Raptors front office was saying, we believe that these guys are going to continue developing throughout the course of the season, filling holes. And like Precious, to get back to the positives, he's an example of a guy who has developed like an amazing amount just this season from the start of it. And this is his crazy dunk here, but like he was great all game. He had a one sequence where he like set a great screen for an open three for someone. Then he hit a corner three, which by the way, he's hitting pretty consistently right now, which is like probably the most important development of his season. And then he like blocked TRAE Young and got and sent Gary Trent Jr. on a transition break. So Precious is the highlight, I would say, of everything.
Yeah. Kyle, do you have anything to add to that? I mean, yeah.
No, he had a great night. I will say a lot of people were like touting his defense, but he was getting, I mean, like it's easy to get cooked by TRAE Young and Clint Capella, but he was getting cooked in the TRAE Young, Clint Capella pick and roll a little bit. Like there was like a little sequence there where like he lost Clint on the lob and then he came down and like had a charge call go against him. Like he had a great night, but even then, like we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Like it was like an all right Raptor night.
Like he was a lot better than Kem, which I think is why people were so like happy.
And people are mentioning like starting Precious. It doesn't really make a difference. Like Precious played 30 minutes tonight and Kem played like 10 or something. So like, whatever. Kem can like take the opening tip and then like hang on the bench all game. I don't really think it makes a difference. It's basically what he's going to do anyway. I don't think that like this is like a lot of people are getting on Kem. I don't necessarily think it's like his fault. He's pretty injured, and also they just need spacing. And he's like he would work well in a lineup with spacing, and has worked well in a lineup with spacing, but isn't working well right now. So.
I think with Kem, if I'm were to speculate, I think that face mask is bothering him.
Yeah,
because he took it off the other day.
He did take it off. Yeah.
Since then, I think the medical staff has probably been like, you can't take it off. If that's me speculating, but yeah, like this was one of Precious's first defensive possessions of the game, and like he was definitely better in the pick and roll than Kem was. But yeah, like when he had to defend both, when he had to play the cat and mouse 2-on-1 game and kind of take away the lob while still taking away TRAE and making him shoot like a far floater, he can't really do that. He's not a 7-footer with the wingspan to do that. So it's kind of just asking too much of him. And that's why you need someone who can stay in front of TRAE Young a little bit better. And the Raptors just didn't have that today, especially with OG out.
Yeah. This is a tweet from TSN's Josh Lewenberg. So we talked about the Kem Birch Precious Achua situation, and Nick Nurse said regarding Kem Birch, he's not in very good rhythm. It doesn't seem so. Hopefully he plays his way back into it. And then Josh says he asked Nick if he'd consider moving Achua into the starting lineup. And Nick responded with, yeah, we may consider that. You never know. So there's your answer, everybody who was mentioning who would start. I mean, that's probably as clear as you can get in terms of Nick saying, hey, we're thinking about it now. So,
and it looks like the boys got a good yelling after the game.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. Especially if Nick Nurse has like, he's doing the whole fisherman friend thing and his voice is gone. But Oren, in this game, the one of the main things I realized was if you do not have OG for the rest of the season, and you get him, let's say maybe a few games left in the year.
Don't say that. That's so terrible.
I'm because remember the second opinion. I don't know if there's been an update on his second opinion or if he needs surgery or whatever it is, but hypothetically, let's say you get OG for the last 5 or so games of the season.
Mm.
Is that enough time for the Raptors to adjust and kind of get OG settled in before you enter a possible play-in tournament or the playoffs?
Yeah, like the thing is, I keep seeing people talk about the Raptors like going to like the lottery or tanking or whatever. If you look at the East standings, that's just not happening. They're a play-in team no matter like what. Now they could lose the play-in and get a really bad lottery slot, so that's technically the lottery. But like they're going to be in the play-in tournament because the Wizards and the Knicks are like so bad and so far behind already. But yeah, I think if OG does need like to take a lot of time off, then the X factor of the season to me becomes Scottie Barnes. And I don't know how much like you can really trust him to like bring you two-way play every night, but you're gonna just absolutely need it just based on how the roster looks. If OG were to be out for a while, and then is like 5 games enough for him to ramp up? That's a good question. I guess it's hard to say, especially with like a shooting hand thing, right? It's really hard to
Mm-hmm.
get your shooting form back that quickly. So I'd probably say no, especially when it comes to the 3-point shooting. Kyle?
Kyle, what do you think about that? Do you think OG coming back late in the season may affect the Raptors' performance in the playoffs or the play-in?
He's not the type of player that needs a lot of time to ramp up. Honestly, he was playing with the hand already. Like it seemed like he had already played a couple games with a hand problem, and was playing. I mean, pretty poorly, but not like terrible. He can still stay in front of guys. So I don't know. He's just going to come out there. They're going to stick him in the corner, which I'm in favor of, and that'll be that. I can't imagine it'll be a lot of time. Like he's been in this organization for like a long enough time that it's like he knows the players he's playing with. It's not going to be a problem. But I did want to mention, and you were talking about it earlier, and Lou Will tweeted it last night, like, oh, the Raptors have 5, 6, 9 guys who can't shoot. And I kind of have like a theory. I don't know if this is the vision. Like, I don't know if the Raptors are going for, we want to compete at a championship level with 5 non-shooting or whatever, 5 kind of okay shooting 6, 9 guys. Or is it that is the most coveted archetype in the NBA? Every contending team, every rebuilding team wants these rangy playmaking defenders. And so like you're gearing up to make a trade for a superstar. And then you'll have all of these players left that you can like use in a contending team or ship off. Like I think they're just accumulating assets that are really valuable. I don't know if they want to play like this. I don't believe they want to play with no shooting. It doesn't make any sense. This is smart front office. I don't get it. What's going on?
Oren, sorry, I know you want to say something, but really quickly, I was watching the Atlanta broadcast, and so I was listening to Dominique Wilkins, and just talk about how nothing was a foul on the Hawks, and Trae Young crying about the same move that Fred had, a little pump fake he did where he jumps into his space and all of that. One thing I'll give Dominique credit for is that really early on in the game, even with the Raptors leading the Hawks, he mentioned that the Hawks, can take advantage of the Raptors pick and roll defense. And, at the moment I was watching and I, just stored it in the memory bank and I kind of just moved on with the game and I kept watching. And then the third quarter came and then the fourth quarter came and the Raptors were, demolished in the pick and roll. Is this, a problem, a future problem for the Raptors that they have to worry about? I mean, you're going to be playing some elite point guards later on in the year, as soon as Kyrie Irving in at least one of the games that you're going to play Brooklyn. So is the pick and roll defense a worry for you, or is this just an anomaly where Trae Young's just an elite playmaker and then you have elite finishers around the rim like Clint Capella and Okongwu?
I think it's kind of an anomaly because usually the Raptors can solve teams. Like they can change their defenses, whether it's going to a zone or starting to double or trapping. Like usually you see the Raptors over the course of a game solve teams. So I think Trae is just kind of different in a lot of ways in that like he gets by his man so easily that he changes the way that you defend and just like he makes it that much harder because he makes the whoever is the low man rotating, like he makes that happen one step quicker than most guards do, and that just like throws everything off. And like there was even times in the game where Fred was like telling the low man like you have to pull in from the corner and tag the roller, and it was like learning on the fly. I think TRAE is kind of an anomaly, I would say. When you look at like the Eastern Conference, there's not a lot of guards like that. You mentioned Kyrie, but as of right now, Kyrie can't play any games against the Raptors, home or away, because of the laws. So, yeah.
I think the home thing, by the way, is going to change. I don't know. I saw an update
good.
somewhere that the New York mayor was going to amend that law very soon. So, yeah, that would be fun. I mean, Kyrie not playing in Toronto would be great, but yeah. So Justin Trudeau, if you're watching this, keep Kyrie out of Toronto as long as you can. What else is there to talk about in this game, guys? I'm really trying to think of things, and it's difficult. Here's another tweet from Vivek Jacob, our good friend, who's a writer at Raptors.com. He says, when asked about the performances the last couple nights, Fred points the finger at himself first and says he has to be better. He also adds, we play young and dumb a lot, and sometimes we get away with it, and sometimes we don't.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. That's a really good one. There was this one play that got into my mind really quickly of Fred throwing Chris Boucher an entry pass when Chris Boucher was essentially underneath the rim, easily picked off. I think, guys, if I'm not mistaken, it was Bogdanovic who stole the pass. And I think Fred fouled immediately and then kind of yelled at Chris. And that's, I think, when I got to the point where I was like, okay, the Raptors are starting to lose their cool, starting to lose composure a bit. And this game is officially getting out of hand. And then obviously the game just exploded. I think at that point it was like a 20-point game or 15-point game. And then it just exploded to 30, 40 points. So
I think we should mention, and this might blow your mind, Chris Boucher is older than Fred. We know this, right?
Yeah, he is.
He's not talking about Fred playing Fred's not talking about Chris Boucher playing young and dumb. Chris.
No.
Chris should know better. No, I'm with you though. Chris should know better. He makes a lot of mistakes for a guy who's like a couple months away from being 30. And he plays very young.
Yeah. I don't know. The play I watched, when it got picked off is, if you're gonna ask for the ball down low, right? What you like? It was. I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't a great pass from Fred. Just like the other entry pass Fred gave in the fourth quarter wasn't great as well. That got picked off as well. But it's like, just fight for the ball at least. Show some sort of effort that you're gonna fight for that ball. Don't just like stand there, watch it. If you know it's coming short, don't just let Bogey take it from you. That was just one of the few plays that stuck into my mind that had to do with Chris. But
yeah, the other one was like when he fouled someone on a 3-point shot, and it was just like a wild closeout. But everyone was wild closeouting all night. That's why I was like, maybe get Utah in here, because if he's going to do one thing well, it's going to be close out on shooters. But going back to Kyle's point about the 6'9" guys and that kind of thing, like, I disagree. I think this is how they kind of want to play, just because of Nurse's history. I think like he's shown a desire to kind of play this like very erratic defense with guys who can run all over and rotate for each other and get in passing lanes and all that stuff. But I think what the Raptors were kind of hoping was that some of these guys who they took on would kind of develop the 3-point shot. We heard a lot about like shooting school and all of this stuff, and that part just hasn't worked. And maybe that's like a multi-year plan. But even guys like, Malachi Flynn shot 2 of 10 tonight. Like, that's the problem to me, is like, if you want to do this strategy with having all these 6'9" guys, fine. But like, okay, the defense better be tight then. If you have no shooters, like, the defense should be the priority, and it should get better every game. And like, these last 2 games have just been embarrassing in that regard. And then B, you have to see some development when it comes to the 3-point shooting over time. And right now, like, if those 2 things don't come together, then they have no real chance to make noise.
I do kind of agree with you in that, like, that's the other option. The alternative is like this is just a multi-year plan and this is a development year.
But you're
And we
also
gotta-
right in that like a superstar trade is absolutely the path to winning still.
It is for sure.
My concern is like I don't think it's a good bet that like they keep making, which is we can teach non-shooters to shoot. Okay, they got Pascal to become a shooter, and they got OG or like a decent enough shooter, and they got OG.
Decent. I was gonna say,
relax.
Yeah,
but like
it's
Bruno
all about the
didn't-
player to me. It's
Yeah,
not about
like,
the
exactly,
Raptors
yeah.
as much as the work
Bruno
ethic.
Caboclo was a non-shooter. He didn't work. DeLon Wright didn't work. Like there are other alternatives that they drafted thinking they could turn them into shooters and are not shooters. Malachi Flynn. Like I think we get really like biased when we talk about like, oh, look at all these people they turn into shooters with the shooting school. Like there's like a shooting school like reject pile, like a bunch of shooting school dropouts. So a bunch of ugly names in that list. Bunch of dropouts from the shooting school. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the identity's clear with the Raptors. There's no way. I mean, there's a lot of teams in this league who, what are we now? The Raptors, I said, are 32. Did I say in 27?
Yeah, that's it.
So that's 59. So we're 59, 60 games into the year. And the Raptors' identity is clear. There's a lot of NBA teams who cannot say the same. They do not know what type of team they are. They play one way, they play another way. The Raptors are what they are, and sometimes they fall because of it, and sometimes they win because of it. Really quick, guys, let's get into Taxman because I'm quite shocked that we spent 36 minutes talking about this.
We say that every episode
this game. No, but this has been bad recently, man. Like yesterday, like I said, man, Oren, if you were here yesterday, it was just, I mean, it was great. We did a nice little All-Star weekend recap for everybody, which was cool, but Taxman, who is your player of the game, guys? I think we can probably all agree that there's one Raptor that sticks out. Yeah, there he is right there. Precious Achiuwa. What did you think, Oren, about his game? Or Kyle, what did you guys think?
I thought he had a terrific night. I think especially offensively, this is like a nice like sample of what Precious really should be, which is like a role guy and not Kevin Durant. Like he had some nice off the dribble stuff, but really he excelled like in the pick and roll. He or just like catch and drive type of movement.
Wow,
and I thought he had a great night.
This is Kevin Durant. This is Precious.
That is crazy. The fact that this was attempted is nuts.
Like, that is crazy. A nice little like sidestep jumper. I wish. I mean, like we're not going to have clipped the majority of his buckets because like you don't clip like a layup. So this is making me look like a fool. But I got to say, like the majority of what he did tonight, I was really in on, and I was specifically on it because it wasn't like completely over the top trying to do too much. It was like this: you grab the ball, just nice. Drive to the rim.
I was not expecting that at all. Like that was crazy. Okongwu, by the way, is a very good rim protector. So for you to just attempt that, and it looked like he did it with such ease. It was almost like he was just gliding to the rim, 2 steps, and then just like lift off. I think we can confidently say Precious Achiuwa is bringing that insane amount of confidence he had during All-Star Weekend with him to the Raptors, which is why part of the reason why when he was first announced as part of this the whole Rising Star, the new challenge and whatever, we talked about it yesterday, Kyle, but I was happy for him because I was like, this is another opportunity for Precious to show what he maybe wants to work on. This is the time when you do it. You do it during an All-Star weekend when there's absolutely no one there to judge you. You just do what you want. You don't do it as bad as Jalen Green did it in the dunk contest, but like you try some things. And Precious was great. So he's definitely our Can-Am Taxman of the night. And you guys know, what are we? It is February 26th, guys. We are right in the thick of it in tax season. Can-Am CPA, they are here. They are at the top of the screen. They are at the bottom of the screen. You can call VJ Verma at the number above, or you can go on www.canamtax.com. They are a full-service small business accounting and tax firm who have a great staff. You can recover your refunds. They can provide tax preparation for you. And just even if you don't necessarily want to, file your taxes with them, you just want to ask them questions, they can do that too. So reach out to Can-Am. They have, great Google reviews because I know a lot of you guys, you go to a restaurant, you go wherever, first thing you're doing is you're checking the Google reviews. Totally understood. I'm doing the same thing. Can-Am, great Google reviews. You can check those out as well. So visit Can-Am at www.canamtax.com. Precious Achua, you are our Can-Am tax man of the night. Really quick, guys.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say really quick. Do you guys want a Goran Dragic update?
For sure.
someone
Yeah,
in the
I
chat
want to
said that-
slander him actually. So what is it?
Okay, so for the people who didn't know, he was obviously bought out by the San Antonio Spurs, and he was going to sign with a contender. He chose the Brooklyn Nets, and the Brooklyn Nets are playing tonight. This is his debut versus the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee. He's played 14 minutes thus far. He has 32 points, 18 rebounds. No, I'm playing. He has 6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists on 2 for 5 shooting. So everybody, give it up for Goran Dragic.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious how like ESPN and these places were like giving all this hype to Goran. Like, so what does Goran give to the Nets? And it was just like,
Because if it's
watch
2013,
until he plays. Like, whatever happened on the Raptors happened, but when he did play at the start of the season, he was just very meh. He was like very, very meh. So he's not saving that team in any way. But whatever. He's good for him. Precious,
no,
good
not
for
good for him,
Precious.
bad for him.
I'm happy with Precious's development this season. That's honestly been one of the bright spots of the season. Scottie, in conclusion, Scottie's got to bring it. Like that's the most important thing for the next half of the season. Whether they place 6th or 9th, who really cares? But how does Scottie develop down the stretch here? Does he develop into like a reliable guy? Because the fact that he's still having these nights where he's absolutely lost on defense when the identity of the team is a defensive team, you just can't have that in game, whatever you said, 50 or whatever it is, 60 or whatever. So that's the guy who I am going to watch for the rest of the season.
I think with Scottie though, like I think it might be a little bit too far to call him like completely unreliable, and we need to prove his reliability. Like first of all, he had a good night last night. Second of all, like the reality is he's a rookie. I get that it's game 50, but it's on the rest of the team to play really well defensively and make it so that Scottie is like everything is easy for him. He shouldn't be like the guy who's tasked with like cleaning everything up. He had a rough night. I think it was probably his worst game of the season, but I think it might be a little too far to be like he has to prove his consistency. He's a pretty consistent player. He had 30 points last night. Like, I don't know. He's not that bad. The whole team was awful tonight. Like Scottie, singling out Scottie. Like, bad. I mean, we got to mention like Pascal 6 for 16, Van Vliet 8 for 22. Scottie had a rough night, but
I think these things with Pascal and Fred, that's just like you can't expect them to be every night what they have been most of the season. Like you can't expect them to just drop like 30 on good shooting with like eight assists, every night. And when they have an off night like this, you need some other players to kind of step up. And these last 2 games, Fred and Pascal has kind of taken a step back, but like you just can't be a winning NBA team when you rely on guys to literally every single night bail you out. And I think with Scottie, we've been on here too many times and said that might have been Scottie's worst game of the season. Like, right? Like we've been here and we've been like, that might have been up there for his worst game of the season. He just has these nights where it's like every other night on a second game of a back-to-back or something where he's just lost defensively. And like, you're right, he's a rookie, but to me, I have such high expectations of him because I think he can be a really special player, like a really, really special player. And defense was kind of his calling card. At least like as a rookie, people thought that one thing he would be able to do right away is defend at an NBA level. And he has in spurts, but he also hasn't. So I just have expectations of him where I want him to be more reliable.
Yeah, I'm with you. It is tough, of course, as a rookie, especially being as young as Scottie, to just walk into the NBA and you're walking into a Nick Nurse style defense. It's difficult. I get it. A lot of times he's tasked with, having the most defensive responsibility when OG's not there. So I get it. It's tough, but at the same time, it is what it is. We expect a lot from Scottie, and I'm with Oren. I see legitimate superstar potential with him. So if it seems like we're tough on him sometimes, we apologize, but I mean, if you see the ceiling that you know, or if you're with us and you see the ceiling that myself, Kyle, and Oren see with Scottie Barnes, you're probably gonna think that, you know.
I guess my point is like hard to put this one on Scottie when your two best players, your two all-stars, are like a combined minus 55. Like, okay, like
Yeah,
it was
for
tough.
sure.
It was really tough, but like, you know, let's look at the schedule here. We got like,
look how easy it is, and that before it gets really tough. But wow, this is a real stretch. Like this 6-game stretch, considering what Brooklyn is right now, this should be like 4 or 5 wins at least.
That's what I said last night, though, and I look like an idiot now.
Right.
I wanted to quickly mention that Kyle said the Raptors were going 4-0, including this last HAWKS game. I just want to mention that, you know, just to pump up my ego a bit, because I did say 2-2, and I'm sticking with 2-2, baby. Yeah, they got the Brooklyn Nets Monday and Tuesday back to back. It's so weird to see the 28th to the 1st, but again, February's a short month. So, I mean, it is what it is. Detroit, who the Raptors always love losing to for some reason, is always a game that we got to watch. Yeah, I'm literally just chalking that up. Orlando is probably as guaranteed a win as you could probably get, looking at this entire schedule, all the way down to Philadelphia in March. Oh, it's tough, guys. Cleveland, Phoenix, Denver, the LA teams, Philly. Oh my goodness, Chicago, Cleveland again. Then you got Boston, a better Minnesota team. Miami, Atlanta, Philly. Oh Lord.
Oh, we do play Atlanta again.
Yeah, this one's at home as well.
Anyways,
that's a big stretch.
Schedule looks tough. I guess when you look at the next 3 games, guys, Brooklyn back to back. Monday and Tuesday, and then you look at Detroit on Thursday, or let's do Friday as well with Orlando. You have those 4 games: Brooklyn, Detroit, Orlando. What do you guys see? I think I'm gonna go 3-1 because I think Orlando is just a guaranteed win.
I'm going 3-1.
I'm going 4-0 again. One of these times, I'm going to.
You just don't learn.
I'm being serious though. Look, tonight I was super confident. I was wrong, but at least Atlanta, like, it made sense that the Raptors could lose to Atlanta. This Brooklyn team is, I don't care what they're doing to the Bucks tonight. They are not a good team, especially without Kyrie, and Kevin Durant is still out. Detroit, like, I get that there's like some funk, like Casey's in Nick Nurse's head, or he's eating his lunch, like whatever. They're the worst team in the entire NBA. I'm picking the Raptors to win. I'm not. It's crazy otherwise.
We also need
the second worst team in the NBA. I'm picking the Raptors to win there too. What? Like, I'm not crazy here.
No, you're not. We also need Detroit to win for that second round pick. Sorry, we need Detroit to lose games for that second round pick.
Yep.
Extra incentive.
Need that to be as high as possible.
Not that the players give a shit, but whatever.
I mean, let's be honest. That second round pick's likely going to be an all-star with the way Jerry's been drafting these last few years. So, I mean, it's good. It's going to be difficult, guys. Detroit is a game that I never like. I just feel like it's a very boring team that we lose to every single time in very boring fashion. But the Brooklyn games are going to be fun. And then, like Oren said, the March games is where it gets super, super tough for Toronto. But in that case, everybody, we appreciate you guys for coming on. We appreciate you guys joining us at the end of this, game with the Raptors and the Atlanta Hawks. I know the Raptors did come away with a loss, but I mean, it is what it is. We're here after wins and losses. So guys, if you can, like the stream, comment if you haven't already, and subscribe to the Raptors Republic channel. Turn on the post notifications if you haven't already. This was the Wrap Up Your Raptors Republic post-game live show where your Raptors were defeated by the Hawks 127-100, bringing the Raptors record to 32-27 on the season. Thank you so much to Chris Howson-Jan, our producer in the background. He has been great. And that was it for myself, Oren Weisfeld, who is back from Mexico. Raptors are still on vacation mentally, like myself and Kyle said yesterday.
But I'm not. I'm working. I come right back. My mind's straight. Here. I don't joke around when I get back from a break.
Oren, by the way, has something great to plug. Oren, do you want me to plug it, or do you want to?
Oh yeah, sure. That's a good idea, actually.
It is.
I wrote a big old piece about Canada basketball, some of the stars, some stuff about the program, some stuff about the NCAA players who are about to get drafted to the NBA.
Yep.
I just put it in the chat. But yeah, I reported on this story for quite a while, talking to a lot of players and coaches. So if people are interested in that stuff, including a lot of Raptors tidbits, give it a read.
Give it a read.
It's water. I wish I could say something more interesting than water.
It's great. It's great.
Guys, go.
I know what
go
call
into
that
the
you're reading.
article, Look at all the Canadians are about to be drafted and favorite those teams so that you can get the scores during March Madness. That's what I did. I think it's nice little like way to read through the article. Also nice to,
Wait,
I like
say that again.
Go into the article, look at the Canadians who are about to be drafted,
Yeah.
and favorite their teams like on ESPN or the score,
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
things so you get their scores during March Madness. Because sometimes it's like some 15 seed that you would otherwise never know has a Canadian on it. Worth checking out. That's what I did.
It's a good idea.
Great future, though. Speaking of Canadians, really quick before we ended, RJ Barrett, shout out to him. He had a great game. I think
46
it was like 46 points
last night.
Yeah, something crazy. So great
SGA
timing.
is
Oren.
back. SGA is back from injury.
SGA is back, baby. Great timing, Oren. Jamal Murray, hopefully we're going to see back soon.
Canada basketball just won their toughest game of the qualifiers for the FIBA World Cup today against Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of stuff going on.
Lots of stuff. Give Oren's complex.ca article a read, please, everybody. It was great. I read it already. And yeah, that was it for myself. Oren, Kyle.
That's the game I'm streaming.
Stop it. We're not allowed to do that. All right, everybody, have a good one. We will see you in 2 days' time versus the Brooklyn Nets on Monday night. Thank you, guys. Take care. Be safe and have a good one. Bye.
Peace.